We've been seeing quite a bit of selling pressure coming through for the NSE 20, the NSE All Share rather, and we have of course been seeing the oil price coming under pressure and general sentiment globally as well taking quite a big knock. Do you foresee more selling pressure coming down the line?
Oh, well, I don't think so. I don't think we'll have so much selling pressure coming on down the line this week. What happened is that most investors are short-term investors, so they are taking profit. And if you look at some of these stocks, they are actually gained up to 10 to 15 to 20% in the past 2 months. So people are beginning to take position because what we have now is the short-term players, people that believe in the market, that have been in the market, and they have lost a lot of money during the downside of the market. So they are just trying to sell over whatever percentage of profit you make, you try to sell it off to gain, to make your money. I think that is what. But when you look at the losers table, you will realize that the losses are very marginal. Like you just pointed out in your program just a minute ago, that GT Bank just lost minus 2.67, which is so maximum. You know, the maximum loss on the exchange is actually 5% per day. So when you're looking at 2.67 in a week, then you realize that some of these stocks have actually got into their resistance levels. So I think the index will recover this week. I think this week will be a little bit bullish. We'll copy to the fact that last week we had a little bit of not bullish. We have only Monday, I think it was only on Tuesday that the market did a slight gain. Monday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, the market was a little bit down and flat. So I think this week we're going to begin to see the upside in the market. I think the selling pressure will reduce a little bit because investors will begin to take position in some of the stocks that have lost significantly, like stocks like GT Bank, UBA, Zenith Bank. And again, when you look at a stock like Owando that have been marked down on Friday and selling at a discount, now you see that a lot of people will actually come into the market, and the market will be a little bit bullish this week.
So things looking relatively cheap, Muktar, but also just looking at the fact that we've been seeing quite a lot of earnings coming through. I think dividends is a very key element for investors out there. With a big focus on First City Monument Bank, we know that this company came out with a 5 kobo dividend. What did you make of those results?
First City, bluntly poor results. If a bank is paying 5 kobo, and this was a bank that paid, last time they paid up to 60 kobo, 70 kobo, and this time you are paying 5 kobo without the bonus. Actually, Nigerian banks is an investment that drawn about by bonuses and dividend twins benefit. So I think the result is a really poor, and immediately the result came in on Friday. The FCMB lost. And the bank went on offer, but less slightly they released their first quarter result, which is not as expressive, very impressive as what they had last year. So with going forward, they might have some little bit of challenges, but I think the bank will recover because some other result came in that day. When you look at the custodian and allied insurance and insurance stock that is selling at 3 naira, and then compared to an FCMB that is selling at 8 naira, FCMB is selling at 8 naira and giving a dividend of 5 kobo. Custodian and allied insurance is selling at 3 naira and giving a dividend of 12 kobo. You could see the difference. So then you look at Nigerian Brewery came in out with a dividend, interim dividend for its investors of 1 naira 30 kobo. So when you look at that, you realize that there was more reason why people have to leave some of these mid-term bankers, mid-term bank like I call them, because people, if you looked at the previous result from UBA, from Zenith, from those other banks have actually given twins benefit to their investors. So any bank that is not able to do that and is not able to, its first quarter result is not able to meet investors' expectation, you expect them to go down. I think by and large, I think the market will still continue to respond to FCMB result this week.
Well, what do you make of the banks that are coming under pressure? As you mentioned, you know, First City National Bank, not Monument Bank rather, not doing that well. But the likes of certain other banks are doing quite well, and they are adhering to the financial regulations there as well. How do you see that playing out, given that all the focus currently is on the changes that we'll be seeing on the financial reform front?
Yes, CBN is trying to do a lot of reforms, universal banking, regional bank, trying to divide the banks into segments, small bank, large bank, big bank, whatever they try to call it. When you look at this going forward, you realize that investors are still skeptical about the medium-term bank, like the FCMB, the Fidelity Bank, the Oceanic Bank, Bank PHP, Sterling Bank. Investors are not really sure whether this bank will still will still be able to maintain their level of reach, whether nationally or regional. But when you look at other banks like the Zenith Bank, the GT Bank, the First Bank, the UBA, you realize that those are the banks that are actually driving the market this time, because, and maybe Sky Bank coming in recently, because investors are sure that these banks will actually have universal license, they will not have problem. So the CBN reform is actually having a tail on some of these mid-term banks, and most of them are trying to recapitalize. And when you want to recapitalize, is investors confident this time? Mostly the long-term investors confident this time in the market is still very low. What we have playing the market now are the short-term investors. And how many short-term investors are ready to put in his money in a public offer on an IPO? I think very few. So when you're looking at going forward, you realize that the banking sector reform is still ongoing. We're wondering when this reform will finish. We say by June or July, we'll be able to know where the banks stand. As it is now, I think there will still be pressure on this medium-term bank, and mostly when their results are not as very impressive. Remember, Fidelity came out with their own 2.5 kobo. Sterling came out with no dividend, no bonus. Now we have FCMB coming out with 5 kobo. So when you look at all this, you realize that the pressure is really on these banks.